I think cyber education is an interesting way for children to get variety in the way that they choose to learn.
They look at me and they say, wow, you do cyber school? You look so normal.
Is that a real school?
Wow, do you really do school online?
Oh, well, your student must be different. Because only different kids go to that. Normal kids, all regular kids, go to the school down the street.
What are you doing? You're messing up his education.
If you go to a cyber school, there's something wrong with you, or you don't fit in, or you've been bullied, or you have some anxiety problem, or just something that you can't fit into a traditional type environment.
I got teased at my old school when I said I was going to a cyber school, because they're like, oh, you're going to an antisocial school?
I think the biggest misconception is just that it's not good.
And I think mostly it's because they just have no clue because it's not how they learned.
Yeah, I think cyber education is an opportunity for learning to take place anywhere and everywhere and not be limited by the people who happen to be in the same location physically.
My feeling on cyber education is that it's necessary. However, I don't feel that it's the best method of education.
I don't think cyber education worked for him. It was kind of a cop-out, something that he had to do in order to compete in sports.
Okay, to me, cyber education is online message boards, Blackboard stuff that I've been doing here for graduate education. I don't find it to be useful at all. I find it to be tedious work where a lot of people post nonsense and nothing really gets done.
Providing a lot of opportunities currently, but that people don't necessarily, educators don't necessarily have the training to effectively reach the students. And I think students don't necessarily have the training always in the particular types of technology that they're being asked to use.
I think cyber education is a good idea in theory. I don't know how it works in a practical setting.
As a teacher, I don't know. I can't imagine myself teaching in a cyber school or being able to give my students what they need through a cyber format. Maybe that's my naivety, but I don't think that without a face-to-face connection every day and having other students physically in the same location, that students can get the same thing out of their education that they could in my classroom.
Hi, my name is Gina Mulranen, and for my culminating master's project, I decided to dedicate my research to cyber education. I work at a cyber school and have the privilege of teaching in a blended environment. I have found that aspects of cyber education that people do know about are the cons, and they're not really aware of the opportunities like the hybrid model. Therefore, the purpose of my research project on cyber education was to make the general public aware of how cyber education works and how it compares to a traditional brick and mortar classroom. These stories in this video add a more personal face to the school choice movement that many public school districts and government officials are against. Another goal of this project is to highlight the blended model where I teach in order to show how successful it can be. Here are the stories of teachers, students, parents, and administrators who are involved in cyber school and their experiences.
Hi, my name is Ben, and I am a cyber student along with 3 of my siblings.
My name is Casey, and I'm an administrator at a cyber school.
My name is Nathaniel, and I am a cyber student.
My name is Emily, and I'm a cyber student.
Hi, my name is Pat.
My name is Dan.
And we're parents of a cyber student.
And I'm a cyber student.
Hi, my name is Amy, and I'm the parent of 3 cyber blended students, and we have been in this type of program for the past 10 years.
Hi, I'm Ann, and I've been a cyber educator for the last 10 years.
Okay, my name is Ewan Park. I've been a cyber teacher for 9 years, and I have 2 children of my own who are both cyber students.
My name is Wendy, and I am a cyber teacher.
Good morning, my name is Elizabeth Byler, and I am a parent of 7 cyber school students in the past 7 years.
Hi, my name is Lynette, and I'm the parent of a cyber student.
I am a cyber student.
The platform that we currently use in our cyber schooling is Moodle, and this has been taken from the general Moodle and expanded on to meet our needs. And so we have students essentially working through a curriculum that has been created by teachers, and it's not a canned curriculum or store-bought. You know, it's intended to meet the needs of each learner.
As a customizable education for students of varying educational abilities. Students work primarily online in cyber schools, half-time hybrid schools, and then there's always a combination of time.
Cyber education is where the child works alone at home with the support of parents or somebody at home to be the coach and work with the child. And that education is a combination of activities throughout the day. It could be anything from an independent study where they're reading materials and answering questions. It could be an online chat room. It could be a variety of different programs that happen throughout the day.
Students attend school online by completing their daily lessons that the teachers post in a school portal. Teachers are available all day through their online classrooms with the ability to share a virtual whiteboard and camera to explain lessons individually to students or as a class. These lessons are recorded and posted as resources in the lessons for students who can't attend the live lessons.
I chose cyber education mainly because it went at my pace as opposed to other schools where you had to wait for other students. I was slightly ahead most of the time, so I was waiting for other students to finish their work.
Cyber education as a teacher because I was interested in becoming part of something new and innovative, and I was interested in getting out of the public school, district school monopoly that I had been a part of. Also, because I had homeschooled my own children, I was open to some of the ideas surrounding cyber education, like schooling at home.
Well, we started with cyber education because he needed enrichment in mathematics, and we found a really good program online, and that was kind of an eye-opener. That was our first experience with cyber, and it was wonderful.
Learned about their special ed program, which I kind of knew they had something in place, but I didn't know how great it was. And the transition for her was really easy. I think she really liked the one-on-one attention that she got. I think she really grew that first year and since then as well. A couple of days a week for, I think it's like 4 hours each day, she will actually be in a work environment getting training with a job coach.
Before coming to PALCS, I was homeschooled by my wonderful mother. I'm one of 8 children, so it often felt like a small classroom to me. As my siblings and I got older, my mom didn't know how to teach all the high school material. She still wanted to homeschool us, but needed to find an alternative way to do it, and thus chose cyber education as the best option.
It was my parents who prompted me to go, but they thought it'd be a nice change for me. And I personally do like it.
We left public brick and mortar school and I homeschooled for 3 years. So for me, it was never going to really go back to the traditional brick and mortar school. I wanted something that was a little more personalized to my family and to my kids, and I found it in cyber education.
I chose cyber education because I was looking for some sort of hybrid option, and I know that a lot of schools are heading that way, so I really want to make sure that I'm ahead of the curve.
We chose cyber education to provide the flexibility for Emily to be able to study at her own pace and have her own develop skills in order to learn and go through various materials.
Yeah, the cyber education allows her to kind of develop at her own pace so that she's not waiting for all the other kids to catch up, or she's not behind everybody else. She can really go at her own pace, and they have the flexibility to accommodate her and follow the child.
So, when looking for a school, I'll always pick the school with the best teachers and students, whether it's cyber or brick and mortar. That's the most important thing for my kids is finding the best teachers and a great class to be in with students who are equally engaged.
Have a unique perspective on how to give kids skills that they can use in college and their careers. We're not just having them spit out information. They have to use the internet and the information available to them. All the information out there is available to them, so we're teaching them to ask questions what's good information they can find on the internet, how can they present that kind of information. And I don't think that's happening as much at the brick and mortar schools.
It's more effective than on-site in terms of straight up education. In terms of what my kids are learning and actually, moving through curriculum and being educated, it's more effective without a doubt in my mind.
Well, how can you be effective in an online environment? How can you communicate just like if I was in the classroom? It depends on the teacher. Teachers can teach anywhere. Teaching is teaching. And so if you have teachers who love their craft and are good at know their content and really have that passion, it doesn't matter if a screen's in front of us or not.
You are set free from a lot of the silly nonsense that you have to deal with in a classroom, and especially in a classroom in a traditional district school. So you're really not worried about, obviously classroom management, and you're not, being sent out to check to make sure no one's smoking in the bathroom.
More productive learning time and less administrative, managing large groups of people getting from here to there. So there's more learning going on.
Well, I believe virtual lessons are just as effective as traditional face-to-face lessons because you have the same amount of interaction, but simply through a computer. You can see them and hear them, which is exactly what public school students / teachers do.
All of our kids have gotten involved with the student government and with the leadership program. And part of the leadership program requires them to go on a trip. So our daughter Danielle, who graduated from PALCS in 2013, she was the first one to go to China with Mr. Paris and his group. And then Ben went the next year. And then the next year after that, Ben went back, and our daughter Rachel joined him. So 3 of our kids went to China, and it's a fantastic program.
My favorite part about it is, with cyber, is my kids can learn at the pace they need to learn at. So I don't like the idea that in a classroom setting with 25 plus other kids, they have to move at the pace that's dictated by the class.
Some benefits from cyber school is definitely being more goal-oriented and independent in your schoolwork. You have to be dedicated, and you really have to make sure that you give yourself a time schedule and you get your work done.
Cyber education is much like a public school, just not tangible, but so much more manageable. And everything you'd find in a normal school, except digitized, really. It's rather simple. It's easy to see. You can see all your lessons. You have your own schedule. You have your own time limit. You have a 24-hour time limit. It's pretty easy to maneuver around and to socialize, I guess. It's rather nice.
Another huge benefit to this whole thing for my kids has been their maturity as far as being students. So their level of organization is much improved. I feel like, especially with my high schooler, he is going to be so prepared for college because he knows how to manage his time. He knows how to prioritize his time. He knows how to, work off a checklist. He knows everything that he would need to know for college in terms of being a responsible student. He's already learning and conquering right now. So the preparation, for that level of maturity, is a great benefit to me.
It's just a matter of the student's interest in getting involved. There's definitely the student government. I know at one point one of our sons was on the school newspaper and did some journalism. Sometimes our kids have created stuff.
I have another friend who was bullied and really in a very aggressive way, and she couldn't continue to go to the same high school, and there wasn't another option of a physical school that she could go to. So cyber education worked for her socially. Again, I don't think the academic piece was there for her, but she seemed to be smart enough to overcome that and learn on her own. Did cyber education help that? I'm not convinced.
I was bullied as a small child in primary school. Obviously, primary school, everybody gets their fair share of mean words thrown at them over time. But middle school, I don't think I necessarily dealt with much bullying. My brother, on the other hand, he had physical assaults against him. I've dealt with more verbal bullying than him, most likely. Here in cyber school, I don't necessarily talk to anyone, so I don't experience bullying from anyone.
Charisse is a very sweet young lady, but she can be shy. And I think being, like we are right now, in a setting where she's having to use a camera and use a microphone, I have seen her, she just articulates well. I think she's come out of her shell a little bit, so it kind of is the opposite of what you would expect from a cyber experience.
Students really need to be self-motivated. They have to be organized learners with the determination to learn.
I don't think it would work for every student just because, well, for some people it might be hard to kind of manage their time wisely.
But I have a lot of friends who say it was a struggle not being able to see a lot of friends throughout the school year compared to the amount of interaction in a public school.
Nobody necessarily warned me about the differences, the layout, the emailing teachers to ask for questions, having to go to all these chats, and everything was so different, and it was a completely different environment, and I was bewildered for a long while, but I eased into it rather quickly.
One, the lack of physical education and just running around. I mean, just going to recess. You have to build that into your day.
I also dislike the lack of communication that's rampant in the school at times. The lack of interaction can sometimes bother me too.
There aren't students taking advantage of the chats. So, sometimes our kids go in and there are no students. It's just them and the teacher.
Had that the same kind of interaction you do in a physical environment, so I think you have to make more an effort to create that when you're in an online environment.
Well, we've also strived as a family to get together with kids, even though there's the distance.
And I don't necessarily keep up because, as I said, I'm rather introverted in the first place. I'm slightly socially awkward. I maintain friendships with people from other schools and other places, so I don't feel the need to necessarily introduce myself into this environment. I'm just rather lazy. I don't feel the need to attend these social events.
It's less effective, like I said, in terms of their exposure to life and kids and experiences and situations and different people. So it's less effective that way, but what I do is I try to balance that out with having them involved in a lot of things outside of school. So my kids do sports and they do other activities with kids outside of the school.
I think some students, my son for instance, I think does better in a face-to-face environment with his teachers, and cyber education doesn't really provide that as much.
Some frustrations that I currently have with the cyber education, I think because it's newer in the educational world, I think that consistency in lesson planning and execution of lessons is not really there. It's not fully developed yet. We have lots of different LMSs, or learning management systems, and so teacher A could be in one learning management system, teacher B could be in another one, and even in a school where the learning management system is the same, there's never been a course in my undergrad or in most undergrad where it is, let me show you how to format an online environment.
And while there's not like a lacking social environment at PALCS, it's different from other schools. It's not like you see students face to face every day.
But I prefer having a day where you can meet with other students and a teacher physically, and you can talk things out with them and have more of a conversation than you really could on a cyber school.
The answer to a lack of a strong social environment within the realm of a cyber school can be a blended or hybrid model. At USP, which is the University Scholars Program at PALCS, students attend on-site classes 2 or 3 times a week and complete cyber assignments on the other days.
So we have the cyber aspect, where she does work independently and learns, and then she's able to come on campus and really apply everything she learns. So it's almost like an upside down classroom where instead of doing the readings at home and getting the lectures at school, she really learns the material at school, then applies it when she's on campus. And she can do that in collaborative groups. She could do it with materials that she can touch and manipulate. She could do it with partners and friends and have that one-on-one aspect with the teacher. So for us, it's a perfect blend because she really can still go at her own pace, but then has that social environment that's really rich for her, that she gets to do with her friends, and they have microscopes and things that, activities and tools and technology here that we just wouldn't have at home. So she gets to use all that, and I think it really accelerates her ability to learn and internalize that learning.
So it's really fun because you kind of get to experience like the best of both worlds, sort of, because you get to like learn and apply and ask questions, and then you get to actually like practice. So you get things sort of done, and it teaches time management, so it's really good.
Cyber blended model because I felt it was a really good fit for my children. It had small classes and the teachers were wonderful, and it also was a way for them to learn how to be self-starters and to organize themselves. I felt it was really similar to what a college education would be for them in terms of them having to be able to set their own time schedules and follow through on assignments.
Captures a lot of the strengths of both face-to-face and cyber instruction. It allows kids to have the sort of in-depth, sort of exploratory learning that you can get with cyber assignments, and yet they get the face-to-face, they get the discussions, they get the embodied classroom experience. I also think that the USP approach, which is particularly to do a university model where the kids are here one day, off at home doing cyber assignments the next, and then here the third day, has an advantage as well in that you get a really nice rhythm. There's time where they're going to see their friends during the week, but it's not an everyday thing, and that makes a difference. It makes the time that they have here more special, is that the socializing can't be the whole focus of school, and it can't become the sort of cliquish, divided, balkanized sort of social scene that you see at a lot of high schools at least, and that helps kids grow up. There's a reason it's called the university model. I think it gets our kids ready for university, but I think it also helps them develop more of a university student's attitude.
For me, I really thrive being around other people and, hearing what others have to say. And even though there are, like Adobe classrooms and things like that, I feel like it's sort of unparalleled to like a traditional classroom experience. And so what I really like about the blended model is that I get a little of both. So I'm not constantly, in this like super social environment, and I do get to work independently, but at the same time I get to see my friends and I get to see my teachers and develop those relationships that are so important to me. I think that it's just such an incredible social environment because the friends that I've made at USP are just so wonderful, and I feel like in a lot of public school environments, like bullying always happens. It's sort of unavoidable, but I've had little to no experience with that at USP.
Although more and more people already know about cyber. When I started out, nobody even knew what it was. And that's a good thing.
So I think there is this huge paradigm shift in education, and I think it's not just the grandmothers who don't get it. There are a lot of educators who don't get it yet either, and it's just going to take time. I mean, it's scary too, I guess. To my kids can find outstanding classes online right now. It costs money if you want to do it sometimes, but if you're willing to do that, you can cobble together a really first-rate education online. And
this was like a cyber education was for kids who couldn't make it someplace else. They were misfits, or they were didn't fit in other places, so therefore they all ended up here. And now that's no longer a misconception. I now know, because this is becoming a lot more mainstream, I guess you could say, or more popular. People know that it's not for that reason. It's because people are making choices where they want their kids educated.
Don't understand what cyber schools look like or how they can work. And so the policies that I've heard why would we're going to give up teachers' jobs and we're going to be taught by robots and things like that. Really, it's just educating ourselves. And the current politics on cyber education right now, we are looking at cutting funding by 30%, which is awful. We already don't get full funding as a charter cyber because, if $100 goes to the public school, we then only get about 75% of what goes to the public school. Then if you cut that 30%, we're really looking at educating our kids for almost half of what they do in a brick and mortar school.
I do think each parent should have a choice. As a citizen that pays my taxes, I think I should have a choice in where my child goes to school. And if my tax money is going to educate my child, then it should be my choice and the money goes with them.
A lot of teachers that I knew were, laid off or left PALCS. So that changed. With student government, we had to restructure it because of the budget cuts. We got a lot of events like prom and talent show taken away. So a lot of stuff has changed, and I would say for the worse. I'm still trying to, be positive and make the best of it, but I would definitely say that it's kind of become less of what it used to be.
To be honest with you, I'm very nervous right now about what I'm reading. We as a family are kind of looking at a backup plan B because from what I've heard, the budget cuts, if they go through, could pretty much shut down cyber schools.
In the words of USP parent Michelle Truitt, wife of PA State Representative Dan Truitt, unions are doing everything they can to rid the state of cyber schools because they prove they can effectively educate more children and for significantly less money than public school districts can. Unions are currently pressuring legislators to take money away from cyber schools and other brick and mortar charters to save teaching jobs. There is no mention of the children, only the teachers and their benefits.
To be aware of what's going on because it's their school, and I think they need to be a voice. They're the students. They need to be a voice.
This project is different than the traditional literature on cyber education. This video has the faces and voices of real people, students, teachers, parents, and administrators who have chosen this alternative form of education and have shared their experiences, frustrations, memories, advice, and benefits of cyber education. From these stories, I hope it shows a better understanding of how cyber schools operate and the benefits and limitations through all of these personal experiences of the participants in my research project. With the positive feedback on the blended model, I also hope that you will agree that this can really be the best types of both learning environments, cyber and on-site, making it the best model for effective learning. I hope it aids in the fight for school choice, which I believe is a right for every tax-paying parent to have when a school district is unable to provide the appropriate education for their child. Although I know cyber education is not for everyone, I do know that for the people I met, it works. I hope that you have a better understanding and appreciation of cyber education as we move towards the changes to the face of our future in education. Thank you so much for watching.